morning, YouTube. Thanks for tuning in to Total Payout Podcast. This is your host, Trouble, aka Merc the Book. Okay, so this is February 25th. We're going to start the day out today with just kind of recapping yesterday's picks. We did have two picks yesterday. We had the New York Knicks and the Cleveland Cavs. We had New York plus the 4 points. And then we had Minnesota Timberwolves against Portland. We had Portland plus 7. So looking, just going by game, we had Knicks first game. Obviously we had the Knicks plus the 4. That was our only loss. We went 1-1 yesterday, so no, not a big card yesterday. Two quick games. Obviously the Knicks did get blown out at the end of the game. Not to say it was super close throughout the game, but it was looking like they were gonna strike about beginning of the end of the second quarter, beginning of the third. Heavy legs, third game in 4 nights. Didn't really pay attention to that scenario. That was the one thing I really didn't look at, was the third game in 4 nights, and it kind of showed at the end of the third, going into the fourth. They couldn't hit a three to save their life, but James Harden felt like he was just shooting with his eyes closed. So it is what it is, man. Just ran into that one. Bounced back though. Like I said, we did take that L with New York. The second game we had was Minnesota and Portland. Portland did come through, lost by 3. Tough last couple minutes. They did squeak it out. They were down. I think it was like 10 with about a minute or two to go, and just it's basketball. So you get one of those teams that don't quit and they come through for you. So I did see, like I say, Minnesota didn't think they weren't going to win the game, but at the end of the day, I just felt like Portland was gonna fight, and Minnesota, they're tough, man, as far as taking with big spreads, because they'll be winning the game and they just take their eye off the prize and let teams back into the game a lot. So I keep my eye on when it comes to Minnesota with a couple extra points on the spread. And so I felt like Portland was the play. Today, got a couple games today. Um, got one college game today that I do like, and then we got two NBA plays today. So, like always, gonna start with the time slot. We're gonna start with the first game today in college. We got St. John's versus UConn. Great game today. This is pretty much the regular season championship game right here. As far as the records go, and as far as placing in the Big East. We do have St. John's coming in at 22-5, 14-13 against the spread. We got UConn 25-3 at 10-18 against the spread. Now, in the conference, St. John is in first place at 15-1, even though they do have a worse record overall. In the conference, they are the better team. UConn 15-2, so they're pretty much, UConn win this game is going to be a toss up winning out to get number one in the Big East tournament and regular season championship. Now on the road, St. John's is 6-2 against the spread, so they are a great road team getting points against the points. Obviously getting points today. You want to look at that. UConn not so much, 3-12 against the spread. So obviously we probably looking at UConn at home, probably having a couple double digits or more a lot this season, a lot pretty much all the time. So that's probably why that spread is going to be that. But a number is a number. If you don't cover it, you can't cash it. You can't cash a check. So 3-12 against the spread, you're not cashing too many checks with UConn. 6-2 with St. John's on the road. You know, it's not a bad wager. It's not a bad situation to be in. Looking at the overall head to head, looks like UConn is 6-4 against them the last 10, but St. John's is 8-2 against the number. Over under, they are 6-4 last 10, so they have a tendency of going over. So I would take a look at that. Obviously, St. John's being 8-2, as far as head to head against UConn the last 10, is a great spread scenario to be in, getting the points. And obviously, I'm gonna tip my cap and say I do like St. John's plus the 5.5. With that scenario, looking at that, 6-2 on the road this year, 8-2 overall. Last 10 against this team. Obviously first place on the line. Going into UConn's gonna be tough. It's no different than me saying the Duke home, and then also North Carolina yesterday. I mean the other day, getting home points on Monday. So it's kind of tough not to look at UConn being in the same boat as those teams when it comes to being a nostalgia play. But I just think that St. John's is a great team. This year, great coach with Rick Pitino, so they're not going to go into UConn nervous, scared. Their team is a team that has a couple players that transferred in, probably a couple NIL players, but they do have camaraderie as well. As far as their team having a couple players that played last year, where Rick Pitino team was decent. So I just think getting those 5 points in a big conference game, um, UConn 3-12 against a number at home, that's not really great. Um, so I think St. John's five in the hook should be great. A great play today. Gonna be a good game, man. It's gonna be a great game. So like I said, I do like that St. John's play. Now getting over to NBA, we like I said we have two plays for the NBA. We got the first game. I'm gonna go ahead and I'll go ahead and call them out. I got Cleveland and Milwaukee, and then I got OKC and Detroit. So I'm gonna go ahead and roll with the OKC Detroit game first. So let's go ahead and pull that game up and see what's going on with OKC and Detroit. Okay, so obviously we know OKC coming off a game yesterday playing against Toronto. Obviously coming through as a dog. When the line closed, I think it opened up OKC -1, closed +2.5. So give or take, depending on where you caught the line, if you caught them plus money or plus the points, you came out ahead no matter what because they did win the game, even by the opening line. So looking at OKC, 45-14 straight up, 30 and 28 and one push against the spread. Then you got Detroit coming in pretty much 42-14 straight up, 31-24 and one push against the spread. So that this is gonna be another great game, another great test for Detroit. Coming off that loss against San Antonio, know they're stewing in that against that loss because that's home court. Obviously playing against a great team, top team in the West with aspirations to make it to the championship, and that being a team that has the same aspirations, losing at home. I know they stewed over the day or two waiting for this game with another team who is a championship team coming in, basically with probably a little bit more expectations, a little bit more um, things on their plate than the Spurs do. So I think they try to look. I think the Pistons look at this game as a redo in a sense. It's a right back. Don't have to wait a month to play a team like this. They get the next game to play a championship caliber team to redeem themselves. So it's gonna be a great test for Detroit today. What's crazy about this game? This line opened up. I want to say I was kind of doing my look ahead, studying, watching the New York game yesterday, and this line was at like 5 +5 OKC, like in maybe halftime of the Toronto game. And so I was looking like, man. Then I probably a little bit later, about midnight Vegas time, 1 o'clock, seen them went to 8. I'm like, hold on, I mean somebody injured. I didn't see anybody show up on the overnight injury report. No Holmgren. I know he was on the injury report previously, but I didn't see him on that report. I may have looked ahead. If I go back now, refresh, may get something, but I didn't see nobody new show up on the injury report for OKC for the line to jump 3 points. Obviously, the overnight game is going to be a reason why you might get some buy-in on Detroit, but it's just a crazy jump 3 points in 5 hours. Somebody big shark went in on Detroit and bought up that five. I think they were five and a hook, something like that. Um, Head to head, as far as this matchup, you do got a even matchup. So money line straight up, they're 5-5 against each other. You got Detroit against the spread 6-4. The total wise, they are under players as far as against each other, so they don't necessarily um against each other do overs. So they don't score a lot when they play against each other. Now, as far as what I like, as far as what jumps out to me, nothing spectacular in this matchup. Like I said, they are pretty even as far as spreads go. Straight up, they're kind of even. You do have OKC 12 and 15 against the spread on the road, so that's not great. Detroit is 17 and 3 against the spread at home overall, like I said. But against the East, OKC is 7 and 3 straight up against the spread, 6-4 against the East. Now, what kind of had me looking at this game a little bit, like, okay, what is the play for this game? Because it's kind of tough sometimes when you on these games and you kind of trying to figure out where is the where are you going to get your advantage at. I think OKC on the road is the play on this game at 8 points because I don't know, they could very well get blown out. Detroit's defense, the way Detroit pushes around, like I said the other night, that doesn't necessarily win isn't basketball per se. You got to still put the ball in the hole. You can intimidate teams by playing tough, playing great defense, playing tough, not allowing people just to dunk on you when they come into the lane, those type of things. But you also gotta have some type of grace in your own game. You can't just go around the court thinking, okay, let me push him to the ground. He might be scared to come in because it's basketball. They know if they go into the lane, they're getting free throws, it's free points. So it's like, okay, so, a shooter, 3-point shooter might be scared to come in the lane, but a superstar know he has to get those points. So yeah, you might push him to the ground a couple times, but you're gonna still get to the lane. So like I said, I like OKC plus the 8.5 points. Yeah, 8.5 right now. It's coming in at 8.5. I do like OKC 8.5. I just can't take Detroit. Coming off what I seen against San Antonio, I don't know if I trust Detroit to go in there. I'm sorry, and I did say OKC is 6-1 on the road against the spread. So I'm sorry, money line. So they only lost one game against the Eastern Conference. They were 4-3 against the spread. And then Detroit's 12-8 against the spread at home. Sorry, not 12-8 against the spread. As far as money line against the West, they're 6-3. So they're not bad, but they're not great. They're not dominant like OKC is against the East at home. And then against the spread, as far as at home, they're 6-3 as well. So it's kind of tough for this team for me to take them. I'm sorry, they're 3-6. So they're 6-3 on the money line, but 3-6 against the spread. Detroit. You know what I mean? So I like that 8.5 points. Hopefully OKC got enough legs to withstand what we know is gonna happen. They're gonna come in pushing and shoving. But what I took away from that game is Detroit made San Antonio look tough. So I don't know if they want to make that same mistake again and make another team look tough based on the way they want to play the game. So hopefully they come into this game knowing that we have to play this game with grace instead of just coming in here pushing teams around. Because that's what I hope when I watched that game. Detroit took away from that loss was, we played too much with force and we didn't play with any grace, and we made the other team look great with our force. You know what I mean? They made Victor look great because we know Victor don't have to push you around to affect your game. He can just be there. You know what I mean? So I just look at it like I hope they learn from that game and play with grace this game. That's just what I took from that game. Okay, so now the next game we have is the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, this game might not be a popular game for everybody, just based on I know a lot of people not high. They high on Cleveland, not high on the Bucks. So depending on what you like, if you like back to backs, obviously Cleveland coming off the back to back, like OKC is, Bucks is as well, coming off the back to back, and also getting that win as a dog last night. So Bucks is hot right now, and then you got Cleveland is on fire. So this is a game underrated game to me. This is a game that I think a lot of people is gonna underestimate that Milwaukee comes out. It's a division rival game. It's not like they're playing against the Brooklyn Nets or not to even dog talk down on anyone, but I think Milwaukee shows up today. Cleveland on the back to back. They're not necessarily an older team, but they rely on a lot of older players, and I don't, obviously know Giannis. So you're looking at that and saying, okay, no, Giannis hot, but Giannis hasn't been there for about almost what a month, so it's like I think this team is gelling around Giannis not being there. So when he comes back, they're gonna be a different team. I see it. And it's not the championship team or anything like that. It's just that I just think they're better. Their pieces fit a little bit better now. Their pieces have a little bit more confidence now. And I think that bypassing the trade deadline with Giannis still on the roster just gives them a little hope that maybe, you know what I mean? You never know. It's the NBA. The East to me is not it is more wide open than not. The teams that are up top have never won anything. So the Cleveland, the Detroit, the Knicks, they haven't won. Boston is the only team you can trust, and outside of Boston, Milwaukee. So it's like I always go into the playoffs in the East when Giannis is not injured, knowing since Giannis has been Giannis that you never count them out because he is who he is, and if they catch that fire with the right chemistry, he could dominate enough to take them somewhere. We've seen it, so it's undisputed. As far as him being able to do it, he's done it once. I mean, I say he's done it 30 times, but he's done it enough to say, okay, you can't just say he can't do it. Like I said, I do like Milwaukee. They're getting 9.5 points. Um, it's tough, obviously, Cleveland is projecting to be a great team at the end of the season because of the trades they made. They're looking good. They beat New York. I'm sorry, beat them up yesterday. But then I also look at. I think this is Cleveland's third game in the last 4 nights too. They played Sunday, yesterday, and then today. So if it applied to New York, why can it not apply to Cleveland? And not saying that it won't they won't win this game because obviously 9.5 points, they're giving them enough points to say they should win this game. But they're in the third game in 4 nights, just in the same scenario as the Knicks were. And if we're gonna apply that to the Knicks, then we have to apply that to the Cavs. So I think that's number one main reason why I kind of like why I like Milwaukee plus 9.5. Plus, like I said, Milwaukee's been scoring a lot better. Defensive got better. Their bench has tuned out a lot better. They have more scoring off the bench. We can get a great game from Kyle Kuzma. Then obviously that's an added plus because Kyle Kuzma's been, I don't know, it's been like he's been playing how people thought he was gonna play when he was drafted. He had a little nice little couple years, but he's looking shabby over there. You do got Cleveland coming in 37, 22, 25, and 34 against the spread, so they are 9 games under after that win yesterday. You got the Bucks at 25 and 31, 26 and 30 against the spread, so they're a little bit better against the spread. Obviously, Bucks probably get more points on their spreads plus the points than not having to cover spreads. As far as home and I'll start with the in the East. Obviously you got Cleveland 10 games, 23 and 13, 10 games over, and then you got the Bucks 1 game under, 18 and 19. So the Bucks are needing wins at this point. So Cleveland is very kind of they're established in the East. Bucks not so much, so they need some wins, man. And being at home, they need those home wins. As far as home and away against the spread, Cleveland 13 and 15, the Bucks 12 and 14. So they're kind of equal as far as 2 games being 2 games in the loss column against the spread, home and away. Um, it's kind of tough on this game, like I say, to go with Cleveland for me, just because that 3 and 4. They should have heavy legs unless they just, got some good trainers over there, got good sleep. They were beating the Knicks, so they didn't rest anybody. They didn't sit anybody in the fourth quarter. Everybody played all the way through travel day. Bucks at home last night winning, so they got to sleep in their bed, wake up, drink from their own cappuccinos and coffee makers and all that stuff, and get the rub downs from their trainers. At home, it's nice. It's different. Cleveland, probably midnight flight. Got in 2, 3 in the morning. Probably, watch a couple tunes on TV, click on YouTube, watch some highlights, get up early morning, shoot around. So, hopefully that hurts Cleveland and it helps Milwaukee tonight on that. So yeah, like I say, we just want to go ahead and hopefully we can go ahead and bag this 3-teamer today and start this hump day off great. So just to recap the plays today, we got St. John's at UConn plus 5.5. We got OKC against Detroit. We're gonna go ahead and shoot with OKC plus the 8. Hopefully that West Coast domination over the East continues. At least we can cover that 8 points, if not straight up win, but at least cover that 8. And then we got the Milwaukee Bucks at home plus 9.5 um, over the Cleveland Cavaliers. So hopefully we can go ahead and have that great day. We've been pushing last couple of days. We want to go ahead and get that 3-0 today. Now, like I say, I want to thank you guys for tuning in to Total Payout Podcast. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe, a comment. I go ahead and beef and talk in the comment section, and we can argue and all that. I do appreciate you guys for tuning in on this Wednesday. You guys have a great, great day. Thank you.